Hello, guys, and welcome to the double digits of the Parc'd podcast by Parc'd. It is episode 10.
Yeah,
Episode 10! Double digits, baby!
Here,
Let's
Gasly
go!
number.
Yeah,
Number.
Gasly! It is the
I've
PA
swapped my hat for the moment.
episode. Woohoo! Sorry.
Nice.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
what number? What episode number?
Episode number 10, mother freakers.
Nice. Solid.
Okay. I say, because the quiz will lead us very muchly nicely into
Great English.
Very much nicely.
the
Very much
quiz
nicely.
will lead us into the weekend very, very nicely. I feel like we should do the quiz because I could have done Abu Dhabi quiz this weekend because obviously Abu Dhabi's coming up this weekend. However, I decided because obviously we've got a nice little gap between this weekend and obviously Formula E starting. You know, we can savour that one for a after Abu Dhabi.
Sure.
So we are doing a 2022 Brazil Grand Prix quiz.
Oh fuck. I'm gonna miss refill at this.
Vamos.
Vamos! Vamos! That is
One.
not one of the questions because that would be
Ah.
a stupid question and you shouldn't get me started prematurely because I will start crying again!
Both will, to be honest.
Celeste, Naomi, Katie. I'm getting the point thing ready.
Let's get it.
Okay, are you guys ready?
I should be ready.
Never.
I haven't calculated how many points are in this, by the way.
Okay.
So, we'll roll with it. Question numero uno. Prior to George Russell's win in Brazil, how many
One.
British drivers have won a Grand Prix?
Oh.
I know the answer to this. So it was in the graphic on.
So, this, by the way, this doesn't include George Russell's win. This is prior to
Okay.
George Russell winning, so
Yeah.
it does not include George Russell's win.
But
Hang on,
just
I'm trying
winning
to
at
remember
a Grand
last
Prix.
week.
Just winning a
Right.
Grand Prix.
A Grand Prix.
How many British drivers have won a Grand Prix prior to
I
George
have
Russell
no
winning?
clue, so I'm just gonna guess.
I know the answer.
I
Ready?
know who it definitely isn't. No, hang on.
It's not 32. That's not.
I have
What?
no clue.
She said it's not
No,
32 because
I-
she held it up the other way around, but she's got 32 on the other side for some reason.
Can you show me,
Hang
Naomi?
on.
Show me what you got.
Fuck it. My brain's not working. So in
Oh,
honor of
no.
this episode.
I made a guess.
In
Okay.
honor of this episode.
10, 5, 19 is correct. George Russell is now the
Which is the 20th
20th British driver to win a
Fucking
Grand
hell.
Prix.
I didn't know there were that much.
You guys do not keep up to date with social media, clearly.
No.
Yes, I do.
What you clearly do. So,
I know.
another one that if you keep up to date with social media, you'll probably know this.
Fuck off.
Thanks to Kevin Magnussen, how many nationalities have taken pole position?
I think I know this as well.
Well, if there's... Fucking hell. How am I supposed to know these
You know, it's Canada, Mexico, Panama. Hey, Jamaica.
No, this is
Hang
way
on.
too much.
United
Wait,
States.
let me...
So, thanks to Kevin Magnussen, he has now put Denmark as one of the nationalities to take pole position, by the way.
I've forgotten what the countries are. I've forgotten the
I made a
country.
guess again because I have no... There's no way.
Are you guys ready?
Yes.
I've given
Hit
up
me
on
with
this
it.
quiz, if you can tell.
12, 10, 24 is correct. There is now officially...
Naomi, what the fuck? Naomi's been cheating. Naomi has been cheating.
Brazil is actually my favorite Grand Prix of the year. So
Yeah.
sorry.
What is this?
F1 literally posted a
Sorry,
graphic
Leslie.
yesterday or today, and they were like,
Like
Kevin
that.
Magnussen makes Denmark the 24th nationality to take pole position.
I'm not gonna lie, I
Well,
haven't really been on social media.
I don't have time. I don't have time
Oh,
to keep up
I have
with F1 social
loved
media.
social media this weekend.
If you follow me on Instagram, you can see that all my story has been is George, WEC podium, George.
No, mine's just been George,
New friends.
forgotten about WEC. Okay.
Alex got on the podium. I can't ignore that.
Okay, anyway, so question numero 3.
Yeah.
Which driver, this is a 2-pointer, by the way, which driver gained the most positions and how many positions did they gain? So you get a point for the driver and how many positions they gained in the race on the Sunday.
Oh,
I noticed that in between the race, but that was after the first safety car. So
yeah. Me too.
So which driver gained the most positions at the Brazilian Grand Prix and how many positions did they gain?
Damn. That's a good question.
Thank you. And I'm hoping I did my math correct here.
But where this driver was at one point and where they finished.
Hang on, I think...
I don't.
Okay, no, it's fine. I was doing the math
So,
backwards then.
guys, if you're gonna make a quiz, don't make the quiz 2 minutes before you start filming the podcast.
No, I did
Wait,
do the math
is
correctly
it-
and I
Okay.
looked at it weird.
Okay.
Is it what?
Oh,
Okay, hit me
I
with
don't think
it.
you're gonna be able to see it.
Charles Leclerc, do you not have any number for it? Lance Stroll 8, Alonso 10. Do you not have a number?
I know at
Katie?
one point, hang on. At one point he was P18, so I'm gonna go 14.
Are we
So
talking
he
in
finished
general?
fourth.
Just this is in
Wait, are
general.
we-
This is in general, by the way.
Oh.
From where they
Well,
started,
then I'm going Charles.
where they started the race compared to where they finished the race.
Yeah.
Also not.
Okay. Yeah, so I
Yeah.
stay with my... Yeah. That's
Okay.
why I was confused, because didn't
That's
Charles start, like, fifth?
So
Yeah.
the best
No, I
was
know, but
overtaking-
at one point he went down to like P18, and then
Yeah,
made
but
his way
he-
back
but
to
he-
when
he
was
started
fourth.
when he
fifth.
No, I
started.
know, but I didn't realize it was from the start. So
I
lost
will
the
give
point,
you
so fine.
another chance to write it
fair.
down that I've now
Yeah.
settled the air if you
Wait,
like.
That's why I was
Okay.
confused. I was like, huh?
But then my other answer is this, but it makes it look like I'm copying. But I remember we both went. It was him.
Go then,
And
right.
during the race.
So we've got Alonso 10, Naomi, and then you've got Lance Stroll 8, Lance Stroll 8. It was Fernando
Yeah.
Alonso,
Oh, get fucked, bitches!
but it was 12 positions gained.
Fuck.
He started 17th on the grid and finished in 5th. The reason I was confused was because I was doing
Nando.
math backwards because Esteban Ocon started 16th and finished 8th. And I was like, is that 12 as well? But
Right.
it's not. I just can't do math. It's 8.
And after one safety car, there was this stat up where actually Alonso,
Yeah.
like most overtakes.
Yeah, because
but
Alpine
most places gained.
finished the weekend with like the most gained, starting 16th and 17th
Yeah.
and finishing 5th and 8th was like an
Yeah.
insane achievement. Yeah,
It's
Lance
crazy.
Stroll started 15th and he actually finished 10th, so he gained 5. Okay,
Alright.
question number 4. This is another
Yes.
2-pointer, and I will
Alright.
give you to the... I can't think which way round it goes. Is it to the 100th? In which lap did George Russell take the fastest lap, and how fast was the lap? Which is why I was like to the 100th. So as long as you get the 10 up, 10 down from the 10th.
Is it funny number?
I know
It's
the
not a funny
fastest
number.
lap.
No,
It's not a funny number.
hang on.
No.
I know Lewis
No.
is one. I know Lewis is one because I remember us commenting on it. But
Well, I actually,
No, we
Uh,
talking about
I actually wrote in
how
which,
fast his lap was.
how fast the fastest lap was. So in which lap did Grussel take the fastest lap? So Grussel finished the race on the fastest lap. Grussel. Shout out Lydia, fucking icon. Yeah, Grussel took the fastest lap. He took the point for the fastest lap. Which lap did he complete that fastest lap in? And how fast was that lap, basically?
Speedy was a speedy boy.
I know the lap. I just don't
And
know
I'll give
which
you
lap.
10 up and 10 down.
On the laps.
Yeah, so say if it was like
Ooh.
1.17.920, I would give you like 930 or 910. I tried to make that as like away from the answer as possible, basically.
But that's a lot on lap time, though. 10 up, 10 down.
You have to get the lap on point.
But the lap time, 10 up, 10 seconds.
No, not 10
10
seconds.
1000.
Oh.
So say
was
if
like-
it was say if it was a 119.920, you could have
Yeah.
anywhere between 119.910 and 1.119.930.
No, I know. Yeah, okay.
There
I
you
know
go.
the lap.
Okay, right. Hit me with it. What you got? Lap 62, 113.785. Lap 22, 115.220. And lap 70, 156.09.
What's this lap we going about?
165, Naomi.
It.
On Brazil, that's almost 2 minutes, babe.
156. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, it was 117.785. Bang on. And Celeste is going to kick herself. It was lap 61.
Fuck!
So
Because I knew the safety
I
car came in on
will let
60.
Naomi and Katie decide whether you can have a point for being one out or not, but that's up to them.
Yeah, give her a point.
Thank you.
Katie says on 0 points.
Point.
Because I knew the
I'll allow
safety
it.
car came in
I'll allow
at
it.
60 and I didn't know if it was...
Yeah, 161.
So I've had the most shit day at work, so I really couldn't care less about it. I couldn't care less about my score. Can I tell
Okay.
them about this close to a mental breakdown?
Oh, okay. So this one, question number, is this number five? Number 5.
What?
How many nationalities?
Oh,
Oh
noggin.
my god! How many nationalities finished in the points during the Grand Prix?
This Grand Prix.
Yes, this is the 2022
During?
Brazil quiz. So,
Yeah, no, I know.
During the Grand Prix or the end result?
so the end result of the Grand Prix.
Okay, thank
Wait,
you.
the end result of the Grand Prix was the exact same anyway.
Okay.
Okay.
Because the only person that got penalised after the race was Pierre Gasly, and
Is
he
Charles-
didn't even finish in the points anyway.
Is Charles Monegasque or France?
Monegasque.
Thank you. Spanish as well. That bloke. That bloke.
I've just realised. Oh, fuck
I
it.
down
Oh,
myself.
oh!
While
I
figure this out.
also
Should've
forgot.
been
I
on the
also
screen.
forgot to mention, if you want to get some extra points, if you can name each of the drivers, you can have a point for each name.
Each driver.
Yeah,
Driver
that's if
personality.
you
Names.
yeah. So if you can give the names to the thingies, then you can have them.
Okay.
You know, just if you want a couple extra points, but it's not, you know, like for someone like Katie, she would probably want to name them so she can
I know the
catch up.
thing. So him and him.
I'm giving you
are-
initials because I can't be asked to write out the
That's-
entire.
Yeah, no,
That's
so
Yeah, I'm doing the
I
same.
would know the
you
initials.
have-
It's fun.
him.
Does it have to be in the order, the initials, or just
him.
because
You know
I've
what?
written them out of order?
Well, you know what? Yeah,
Fuck it, I'll start it again, but you'll give me time. Then.
I will. So yeah, if you want the points for the names, they have to be in the correct position. So where they finished. So
Oh, but I
Oh,
put
I
him
know
in
which way round the
nationality.
Red Bulls went. I know which way round the Red Bulls went.
Okay, wait, because I put them in
I'm just gonna
nationality.
write the driver and the
So
nationality.
it's
Yeah, that's
him.
fine. that's fine.
Oh,
and
for fuck's sake,
him.
I forgot about him.
Got him on the podium.
Oh, Kingston Town scored.
Then
Let's
we
go.
had this
Who?
one. Then we had that one. Then the Red Bulls. No
Wait,
one's
I'm
gonna
putting
forget that
this
one.
on deafen because I can't.
Sorry.
Don't worry,
Give me a
guys.
thumbs
I'll
up
I'll
when I do,
I'll say it
actually.
to myself.
Okay.
1, 2, 3,
Uses
4, 5,
a
6, 7, 8, 9,
mother.
10. I just wrote it out really awkwardly.
Also, make sure you've also got a number of how many nationalities, because obviously
Oh,
that's
yeah, I
one
have.
point.
Also, it was really unnecessary to bring up the Pierre Gasly situation again.
Sorry.
It's not necessary, okay?
Well, you didn't get a penalty point for it.
I know!
For once.
Race where I actually wanted him to get penalty points. The fucker didn't get them. I'm not watching in Spain if Pierre Gasly gets a race ban for the first race. I'm not watching it.
No, it's my
Oh,
birthday.
you're not-
You can't leave
I'll go
me
give
during
it
my
to-
birthday. It's literally no, it's the
I
day
don't
before
care. I'll go
Nicole's
down to
birthday.
the beach. I'll go down to the beach. I don't give a shit. At one point, if he races and he crashes, just got to make a TikTok of me just floating face first in the pool.
So, okay,
You
right.
agreed to
If
this,
you,
I'll be honest.
yeah. If you guys give me
Oh.
how many nationalities, like the number first.
I can't. Oh.
8,
7.
8, and you went 7. It is in fact 8. 8.
Yeah, I knew because there was one that I didn't know.
Finally, Katie's on the board. Round of applause for Katie, guys. She's on the board.
Let's go.
Okay, so we obviously have. Okay, so you guys are. Okay, I'll make
Can
sure
I
Saba-
amend? Can I amend
Yeah,
my thing? Because I realised who was
Written
missed.
down, but...
I realised
who
I've actually forgotten.
You. Who the fuck
I
have you
realised
forgotten?
who I forgot.
Who have you forgotten?
Max.
What's that about the rebels?
I literally went, I know which way
I
round the
forgot
rebels
you
went.
existed.
Yeah.
I forgot you
Oh
existed.
god. I wish I could forgot he existed.
Okay, so obviously
Right.
P1 and P2 were British drivers, George Russell and
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
P3 Spanioso, it was Carlos Sainz,
Yeah.
and then P4 Monegasque
French boy.
Charles Leclerc. P5 Spanish again Fernando Alonso. P6 Dutch in Max Verstappen. Sergio Perez.
Who?
P7 Mexican. P8 Esteban Ocon French. P9 Valtteri Bottas Finnish, and P10 Lance Stroll Canadian.
Yep.
Yes.
I got him.
See, I put French as Pierre and Esteban because Este was my I don't know who the hell the next person is, so I'm just gonna put Esteban.
So you
Oh.
put Pierre.
So-
You put Pierre in the top 10 after I told you that he finished 12th and got
Oh my god.
a penalty. Okay, wait. So
Yeah.
so wait, did Naomi got 9 there, and everyone else got 10
Yeah.
plus? Hang on, I'm just
think
gonna
so.
do plus 10.
Yeah, because I forgot he existed.
Look at me.
That now means that
There's a post
Naomi
office.
and Katie are on equal points. And I just deleted one of Katie's points by accident. Hang on.
Oh no.
Plus
Oh
10.
dear.
Okay.
I've literally just got 11 points. It's that easy to...
Okay, so which car? So the final question before the bonus question. Which cars were allowed to unlap themselves during the final safety car? And you can have a
Bonus.
point for each answer.
Funny
I
enough.
actually don't know who it is. Wait, I know one. I don't know who the second one was.
If you know one, you know a second. That's for sure.
Okay.
Was definitely not Yuki Tsunoda.
Was the second one really that slow?
And when you think my answer, you think it's funny.
Okay,
Ready?
what have we got? What have we got? Latifi, Albon, not Tsunoda, Latifi, Albon. Yep.
No.
Not Tsunoda. For Yuki Tsunoda.
Poor Yuki.
Katie,
Yeah.
you have wonderful handwriting.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, your bonus
That was
question.
rebellious primary
Oh.
school Katie, not wanting to do the joined up writing. So I just wrote with like a space between the letters.
Love it. Okay. You guys, after I've read the question, you guys can decide if you want to know how many there are to get or if you just want to like freeball it. So,
Okay.
which drivers took penalties this weekend and what were the penalties? And I've missed one of them off my list. Oopsie daisy.
What kind? Do we mean all kind of penalties?
All kinds of penalties.
Okay, I think.
In the weekend overall.
Overall across the whole weekend. Which drivers took penalties this weekend? And
Okay.
what were the penalties? Do you want to know how many there are to get?
As the penalties, do you mean the?
In a different.
Okay,
Oh,
everyone knows the penalty for Max, so I'm just gonna say. Do you mean 5 seconds or do you mean causing a collision?
Time penalty.
Penalty.
Oh.
So like 5-second time penalty. Yeah.
Okay.
There are 9 to get.
9.
9!
Yep.
Yes.
9 penalties this weekend. I
Right,
forgot
need
one
to
of
go on to
them.
the next page.
And I'm really sorry. because it's the penalty that I've mentioned about 3 times now to irritate Katie, and I forgot to write it down onto my list.
Only drivers? Okay, because she said which drivers, so just checking.
Oh shit, yeah.
Oh.
Wait,
So
only
it's
drivers
10.
or not only drivers?
Not only drivers. I'll let Katie
So
know
it's
when
10?
she undeafens herself. No, it is 9. I put them on there.
Oh, okay.
It's 8 drivers and 1 team.
Okay, yeah.
I'll text her quickly. Hang on, because she's deafened. Made a mistake. It's 8 drivers and
I'm gonna do this in my
1
notes.
team.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. What am I missing? Wait. Wait.
Nice.
Did he get 2 penalties?
I think I've got 8.
Katie,
1, 2,
I
oh,
don't.
I've got
You didn't.
8.
I'm taking you didn't check your phone. I said which drivers took penalties this weekend. They weren't all drivers.
Nice.
But
I
I
didn't know that,
obviously
Katie.
they were here, but you were deafened.
So
And I
no-
was like, I'll text Katie, but I don't. And I saw you didn't look up at your phone, so I was like, I'll let her know when she
Yeah.
meets herself.
I'm gonna put this one in, but I don't know if it counts as a penalty.
Oh,
I don't know if this happened. I'm just writing an extra name because I'm missing one.
And
Oh,
I'm
cool.
almost there.
I'll read them out in
I
numerical
don't know.
order.
I don't know what the penalty. I don't know what the penalty is for that one. I'm going to put a guess to it, but
I think it's 5.
I should have reworded this as who took penalties this weekend and what were their penalties.
I don't know whether one of mine is. Yeah, no. Well, he took a penalty. It was.
If
this
it's
weekend,
anything, it started basically before the weekend started.
I
The
have
first one.
So. Yeah, that's
9.
fine. That answers my question then. Yeah.
I have 9, so I should be fine. I think.
Naimi's
It's 9,
glaring
isn't it?
at me.
I just have no idea what the flip has been happening.
With what?
Like, now that you said, like, before the weekend, like, clearly, like,
No, I think you have that one. I just don't think you see it as before the weekend, but I think you have that one.
Like, some people got penalties this weekend that don't actually apply for the weekend. They apply for next weekend now.
Oh, but then there's more
Wait,
than 9.
huh?
There isn't. There's 9.
No, then there's okay. Then you
It's penalties
probably-
received this weekend. Penalties received this weekend. Which
I have
who
one
took
that-
penalties this weekend? So like they're just penalties they received this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know if this counts as a penalty or not.
Why
That's
you don't?
the thing.
Did someone
I
get a
have
grid
to
place
then-
penalty?
but
Oh,
I
I remember
think-
now. I remember now. Wait,
I'll probably.
Yeah.
No, Pierre
no,
so
because
this
I
is
have
a
this one. I
penalty.
just thought it was a different number. Wait, has this man committed 2 crimes throughout the weekend?
No.
Okay.
Unless
then
I'm missing some, but
Oh.
I've gone through about 7 different articles, both on
No, it's probably
Wikipedia and
not
F1.
counted. It probably doesn't count as a penalty.
I'm still
This
missing
wasn't a
one.
penalty, but it's. I'll explain. We got that.
Okay.
I'm still missing one.
Okay, are you guys ready?
Ready? You want
Yeah.
me to show? Or...
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it's a bunch of words.
Right, okay. So I'll go down the list. So the first
Yeah,
penalty of the
okay.
weekend was Carlos Sainz, who received a 5 grid place penalty. And
Yeah.
it was 4, if you would like to know, exceeding
Yeah.
his quota
I see you
of power
changed.
unit elements.
Yes.
The
Yeah, I
second
see you
of the
changed.
weekend was Yuki Tsunoda. And he took
Mm-hmm.
a pit lane start due to modifications to the floor, front wing, and rear
Yes.
wing. The third was Lance Stroll, who received a 10-second time penalty for a dangerous manoeuvre on Sebastian Vettel.
Yes.
Of course. How the fuck did I forget that?
Number 5 was Fernando Alonso, who received a post-sprint 5-second time penalty, but as long as you've got 5-second time penalty, that's fine.
Yeah.
And it was for causing a collision with Esteban Ocon. The next
yeah.
was
Yeah.
Daniel Ricciardo, who received a 3-place grid penalty for next weekend's race for taking out Kevin
I'll cue
Magnussen.
the FIA.
And then it
Last race
was
again.
Max Verstappen received a 5-second time penalty for his collision with Lewis Hamilton. And then it was Lando Norris receiving a 5. Yes.
He also got 2 points in his penalty on his license.
Thank you.
Someone
Thank
has to
you.
jumping off.
Someone keeps tabs on who gets penalty points now.
I do. I do.
And then Lando Norris received a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision with Charles Leclerc. Did he also receive 2 penalty points? Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Pierre Gasly is the 8th driver to receive a penalty, and he got a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And then Alfa Romeo received a €1,000 fine for a mechanic being too close to the approaching Haas car that was starting its pit stop.
What was that?
I have
Sorry.
two more.
As long as you just have the fine for that one, it's fine, by the way.
Oh yeah, okay. I just put up a random number. I put 5,000.
Do we have a video of that Alfa Romeo's thing? Because I want to see that.
Yeah.
There's a
I
video.
have a
He
video
wasn't
more.
looking.
Or a
They,
photo or
they
something.
released the Alfa Romeo, and he walked out not realizing that they were pitting Mick Schumacher, and then has to jump back because Mick Schumacher drives at him.
God.
Yeah.
What is it?
So how many do people have?
I have
1,
two
2,
more.
3, 4,
You've got 2 more.
5,
What have
6,
you got?
7, 8.
So the one I wasn't sure about is Pierre Gasly got a warning for slow driving, but I don't know if warning counts as a
No.
penalty.
Surprisingly not.
And
Yeah.
then Lance Stroll got a $200 fine for a pit lane incident.
Did he? Why did I not see
He
that
did.
anywhere?
Let me see if I can. He's
I got 4
speeding in the
points.
pit lane. Practice 2. Oh, the team is fined 200.
Okay, well, you can have that. I
That
couldn't
was
find it
awesome.
anywhere. Hang on. Okay. Oh, it's reasonably close. We had Naomi in P3 with 29, Katie in P2 with 31, and Celeste in P1 with 36 points.
Let's go.
That's not
Thank you.
close. I'm 7 points behind.
But I do think that leads us nicely into the weekend and all the drama that entailed of the weekend. Obviously, with Yuki Tsunoda getting forgotten by the FIA.
Poor Yuki. Poor Yuki.
But I feel like we should start at the beginning of the weekend with Kevin Magnussen getting pole position.
Pole.
He is
Crazy.
accredited a pole position. How crazy is
happy.
that? And it's also crazy that Haas finished P1 and P20 in qualifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A Haas
In the
sandwich
words of the,
for the whole
in the
grid.
words of the McLaren admin,
Yeah,
sandwich.
Honestly.
literally.
That's crazy to me, and he did a really good job in the sprint race as well. And I think he would have done a really good
Definitely.
job in the race itself if the incidents didn't happen. And then he didn't get
He shouldn't.
abandoned on the side of the racetrack.
Oh yeah, poor K-Mac.
How
He
do you
didn't
just
get picked
abandon
up
him?
by the medical car.
Like,
I
I
think
read
they
that
got a
out
lot of
didn't I?
drivers.
Hello.
huh?
They didn't pick him. They didn't pick him up.
Mm.
So he walked over to the fence, and someone had cut a hole in the fence to let him out.
Yeah.
And he walked back through the public bit with fans chasing, following after him to get back to the paddock.
That's such a big health and safety concern.
Literally.
It is.
That's
Well,
the
it's
biggest
like
health and
Ocon.
safety concern.
It was like Ocon, I think Japan, when he was just walking through the metro to walk back to the pit lane. He did it as
Yeah.
well, and there was people just walking through the metro
What is this?
Literally.
just the man Ocon.
More drama, obviously. We should talk teammates and about how wonderful teammates Ferrari are and how horrific teammates Red Bull are.
That's the grid up.
Yeah.
Other than Mercedes.
Because, what?
Well, I mean, Alpine had their moments and Aston Martin did too. I think it just wasn't a teammates
look,
weekend.
No, we'll get to it's just these side by side comparisons are just,
Yeah.
Red Bull obviously telling Charles prior to the race that they
Red
will
Bull or Ferrari?
Ferrari, sorry. I was because I've got two things on the brain.
It's okay.
Ferrari telling Charles prior to the race that they were going to let Carlos let him ahead if it meant that he could take the championship points to get ahead in the championship to fully secure P2. went into the weekend assuming that was what's going to occur, and obviously Charles comes onto the radio, and people on the internet are really heavily bashing Charles for asking for team orders. But when obviously he came out after and people are still bashing him, I have no clue why, but when your team tells you they're going to do something, you request it, and they go, actually, no, we're not going to do that now, you would also be pissed off.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that then people are like, that's so unfair to Carlos. But when Carlos was asked about it in the interview, he was like, Ferrari firsthand didn't tell me that over the radio to, like, you know, let Charles pass, but if they did, I would have let him pass in a heartbeat because I'd do anything for that team.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not the exact quote. I don't know what his exact quote was, but like, he was fully willing to give up his podium position for Charles if it meant that that team was able to secure P2 a bit stronger going into the final race weekend. And that, to me, shows pure dedication for your team. Like, pure dedication.
At the end of the day, it's a team sport, so big up to both Charles and Carlos for handling that situation the way they did it.
And then you look at Red Bull.
Uh-oh.
When they give Sergio Perez orders to let Max pass. Right, when, you know, at that point, you know, just let them race. But Sergio was like, yeah, sure, I'll let him pass because it could benefit the team.
Yeah.
When it wasn't benefiting the team, Sergio was like, can I have my place back now? And they were like, yeah, okay, we'll tell Max to give the place back. Max, give the place back. Max, where are you?
Max, you forgot your driver.
And I just think Max's radio message after that was the most unsportsmanlike thing I've seen since Baku 2017.
Which, funnily enough,
you did not have to bring up Baku 2017.
It's not just stopped there though. Like, it's then been taken outside of the fucking racetrack with everyone getting involved.
His mother,
what his mum put.
Have you not seen this?
Max's mother putting that on blast.
Yeah.
Horrifying.
Like, the last thing I think Sergio Perez's family wants to do is, you know, have that all brought back up again. Just because your son is getting slandered for being a spoilt brat over an incident that happened months ago when he already has the championship completely in clutch.
Yeah.
The thing is, then, like, people were screenshotting his mum's post in September when obviously he won the championship, saying, like, well done. And it was, like, Sergio Perez's fans going on there saying, like, just putting, like, the sick face emoji and being, like, the only reason he's got, like, both championships is because of Checo's work, which...
Hats off to Checo.
I do agree
Max...
with. Max wouldn't have got it as quickly as he did if he didn't have Checo's support. But, and then... like, they've all of, like, Max Verstappen fans are going, like, off on one saying, like, it's disgusting that they're leaving stuff like this underneath.
It is.
But their first thing that a lot of the fans are jumping to is it's Lewis Hamilton fans leaving the hate underneath the post. But when you click on the account, they literally have their first post is Sergio Perez.
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton fans have been too busy hating on George Russell this weekend to be hated on Max Verstappen.
It's so true.
It's really difficult being Team LH and Team GR this weekend. It's been a struggle.
I mean, I think this weekend, luckily, like, not like it hasn't been that bad, but like it's been bad. But like the other weekends, like previously, have just been people like hating on George constantly. Yeah, so it's nice to switch it up for a bit.
It's been so nice to just see happy things about George. And then you do have some members of Team LH saying that this is Lewis's race win. Lewis should have won. George should have let him by. At the end of the day, Lewis had a lot of damage to his floor. He was leading 0.2 per lap because of the damage from the floor from the collision with Max. If George had slowed down, got there in the end. Fuck it out, I'm not with it. If George had slowed down enough to let Lewis pass to win the race, bearing in mind, George won the race by, I'll tell you, 1.5 seconds. Like, he would have had to slow down a lot. And at the end of the day, Lewis was very, very happy for George for winning that race.
Yeah.
And he was so congratulated. And people are like, Lewis is the one that brought that team up. How the fuck do you know what goes on in the Mercedes home? Both drivers have been there in and out, day in, day out, putting hours and hours and hours of work into that car this year to get it to where it is. Not even, mentioning as well all the test drivers, the reserve drivers back at the factory, working in the simulators, helping. There's so many people that go into it. It's not just Lewis Hamilton working on that car. There's so many drivers. And George showed in Williams how dedicated he is to making a car work.
Yeah,
and what makes you think that the second he steps into Mercedes, that all goes out the window? Like, it's very evident that the two of them have been in there helping work on their cars to get their cars to where they are.
One another, like helping one another, like listening to like George, both of their interviews after the race, which had me in tears, which isn't surprising to anyone. But like they were both saying like how hard they've worked together as a team for it as well, and like Lewis just saying like he's so happy for George because it's like no matter what, it's like George has been with that team for a very long time.
Since he was what, 17? I want to say he was 17 when he joined Mercedes, because he went into Toto. He went into Toto so it's 17, 18 then.
Yeah.
Because he went into Toto Wolff's office when he was 15.
Yeah.
And
the thing is, I'm pretty sure in the rule book now that you're not allowed to. I don't know. They were saying about it when they were like justifying Max's decision to not let like Perez pass. And apparently, it's like in the rule book that you're not allowed to sort of swap positions or something.
Well,
there was like some weird thing.
Max,
but everyone does it.
Max has always been given so many team orders. Like Checo's been given so many team orders to just let Max past, do this to defend Max. If it wasn't for Sergio Perez and Michael Massey, Max would not have won in Abu Dhabi last year.
Yeah, no, that's
Sergio had to literally defend for his life against Lewis last year so that Max could be even within like 2 seconds of him.
Yeah, but not even Abu Dhabi. There's been so many races where Checo let Max like maybe not the lead, but take his position to benefit him in the points. So Max wouldn't even have the points in Abu Dhabi if it wasn't for Checo. So
yeah, and I just think personally, for me, I just think the whole situation is completely disrespectful. It is a team sport. When you're racing for a championship, like a driver's championship, I'd understand if you're a bit like, I don't want to let him through. I've got a championship to win.
100%.
He won the championship weeks ago.
Both championships are sealed, so there's no reason to
the only person that can now benefit from any sort of team orders is Sergio Perez. And
yeah, exactly.
Max was not going to allow that to occur.
And I think it's just childish to say that you have your reasons. I think it's very, very unprofessional to take your personal business into a team sport and say, I have my reasons. No one cares what your reasons are. That's taking your personal life into your business life, to say so, into your working life.
Even then,
it's just childish.
Yeah, and he's got
his team potentially in shit as well by saying that, because
if
it turns out that in Monaco Sergio did purposely crash, then he told like Horner at the time and Marco, like Helmut Marco, if they covered it up, obviously it's Red Bull, we all know it'd probably be like a $7 million fine and then that's it, slap on the wrist, but it's still like
we all saw
danger to the sport.
We all saw what happened last time a driver purposely crashed out. That was a legal case that went on for years. Years.
Yeah.
And you can see why Red Bull was so quick to sort of close down on Max and get him to sort of like be in the post-race interviews and being like, oh yeah, it's all sorted now, because he's just opened a whole fucking can of worms for Red Bull. That the PR people, they're probably going to try and find new PR people before Abu Dhabi, because I can see them quitting to not have to deal with that shit.
Literally.
I would quit by that point.
You just put your whole team through that, plus you put Checo through that. I think is a very selfish book.
Not even Checo, I think Checo's wife and kids, like...
literally, he involved...
You are attacking an entire family that are literally minding their business. All because you were asked to give up a place that was handed to you.
Literally.
I think it's just like, it's not nice because the amount that Sergio and the team have done for Max, and like they've stood by him with everything, like even as earlier in his career, But seeing like him being like, no, like I have my reasons, blah blah blah. Get a grip. Like I
He
think
was sounded
Sergio
too
really
much
has.
like his dad.
I think Sergio has really like done a lot for him in his career,
Mm.
and you know, like we mentioned about things that the drivers do. Obviously, they got all their academy drivers doing lots of work. You know, people on the sim. If you follow Jake Dennis, you see the amount that boy does in the
He
sim for
was
the
been
Red
doing
Bull,
hours this
and
week. Hours and hours and hours of sim work this week for that car.
I think it's really, it's just not
Mm.
fair, really, on the team,
Mm.
and yeah.
I showed my dad, like, obviously the radio message and then the interviews, and he said he's never seen him. Like, he said, obviously, he's seen, I showed him the video of Mick when he was angry, and obviously, like,
Yeah.
the comparisons with Michael. And he said, like, he was like, yeah, that's close. He said, but I've never seen someone so like Jos. He was like, when he watched it, it was obviously Jos Verstappen racing. He was like, that was his father in, like, there again. And I was like, yeah, no. There's not enough. There's not. There's no room for another Jos Verstappen in the sport. No, thank you.
But it's just, I don't know. We've seen aggressive drivers, and I always love an aggressive driver. We were literally discussing this yesterday when we were watching the 2017-2018 like season. We were talking about how like you kept saying, "Oh look, Sebastian Vettel's in his Max Verstappen era," because like you have to be aggressive to win championships. It's how you win championships.
Definitely. Yeah.
But being aggressive on the racetrack, you know, not purposely driving into drivers, Sebastian Vettel, Max Verstappen.
He didn't know what
You
happened.
did
He
not
didn't
have
understand
to
why he got the
inform.
penalty.
Oh, why did I get the penalty? Where was I dangerous driving? He says as
Please
he
tell me
pulls
why
up
I
alongside the car and
dangerous
rams into the side of it. But it's one thing to be aggressive on the racetrack, and there's another thing to be aggressive off of the racetrack.
Mhm.
You can be aggressive without being dangerous.
Because
I agree.
obviously
Yeah.
the collision with Max and Lewis was a side-by-side replica of the collision between Ocon and Max in 2019?
19,
18.
I would say.
18?
18, because Esteban didn't have a seat in 2019.
True.
Yeah.
18.
And Max fans were saying it was Ocon's fault that time and Lewis's fault this time, which you physically cannot. You have to be on either Max's side in one of them and Ocon's side the other, or Max's side in one and Lewis's side in the other, because
it's the same collision.
It's literally the same collision. And I think Max coming out after the race as well saying, well, I knew I wasn't going to move and I was still going to go for it, is him literally saying, I knew he wasn't going to move, so I'm going to crash into him.
Yeah.
It was literally the quote of, well, I got 5 seconds, but he lost his race win. That's the most disgusting statement. You like have some fucking sort of like not compassion, but I don't know what humility. Have some humility, like don't be a twat.
And I understand that there is adrenaline, and you feel adrenaline in the car for a period of time which you're out of the car. It does make you say stupid things, but there is still like a level to uphold as somebody that is in the limelight, to not make comments regarding deliberately crashing into someone and like admitting to be like purposefully trying to crash somebody out, gloating about the fact you have destroyed somebody else's race win, and just being downright disrespectful to not only your teammate but your team as well. And obviously, like we've said before, if you put a microphone on a footballer, you're going to hear some shit, which obviously is still very, very true in this state. But if that's really what is going through his head at the time, it's telling. It's not about whether you say it out loud or not. It's the fact that for him to say it out loud, he had to think that through. And the fact that that's exactly what his thoughts were telling him is saying a lot. It's the same as like, you can excuse certain things, like calling someone a dickhead or a fucking idiot or whatever. That is adrenaline, and of course you're going to think somebody else is a dickhead in that situation. That is understandable. That kind of, you know, language you expect to hear from someone going through such high intensity of, you know, adrenaline, because you're instantly going to think when you're in an incident that you aren't the one at fault. It's very rare that a driver comes out of it immediately and goes, yeah, I was completely at fault there.
Yeah.
But the fact that the Monaco situation had to have been mulling on his brain for months for a start. The fact that he was going into something going, I want to destroy this man's race because he's not going to let me by easily. Like, they're all things that aren't just adrenaline-based things that you're thinking. They are genuinely malicious, like, parts that are, like, circulating in your brain. They are malicious, and they're not just adrenaline-based. That is just pure, like, malicious attitude, and it's not something that should be praised or even welcomed in any sort of aspect. Not even in... I doubt even if you've put a fucking microphone on a footballer, you'd hear them go, I'm going to go and slide into this guy's leg and break it. Because if they even had that thought process for even a second, and the word even slipped out of their mouth, that would be a game ban. Immediately on the spot. Immediately. So, it's just, you know...
Yeah. I'm disappointed because I was like growing on Max, and I've always said he's a talented driver. I always loved some parts of his driving style and how he's just, you know,
his driving style does reflect
the
Seb's a lot, which makes sense because I like his driving style most of the time.
Yeah.
For the most part.
And then this season, it was pretty calm. He was doing all right. He was a rocket ship on his own. So I was like, yeah, this guy, you know, he's getting older. He's more and more getting into the sport. And then this weekend happened. I'm like, okay, we're back to zero. It's just disappointing for me, but it is what it is.
It's going to take a lot to bounce back from, and I don't think he's really going to go into Abu Dhabi with a lot of people really being that happy for him almost.
Yeah.
So it's just, I don't know. It's just a weird one. Obviously, Esteban and Fernando Alonso, as Naomi was saying earlier, is also solid proof of teammates beefing, causing arguments.
Yes.
Because even then, they were being quite horrible about each other. However,
Definitely.
you could hear it in when they were saying it that it wasn't things that pent up against each other. Fernando Alonso, maybe. Fernando Alonso sounded like he had some sort of background beef with Esteban Ocon. In the moment when they were speaking on the radio about it, you could tell it was just adrenaline-based, like, spat. When he came out and was in the interview and saying it's fine, it's just one more race to get through kind of thing, it was a bit like, right, there is definitely something built up in the background, and you probably shouldn't be saying that in an interview, and your PR person is probably going to get fired for the fact you've said that in an interview. And obviously with Lance and Seb, like, there's just very much seemed like when they were on track, just very much adrenaline-based spat.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting weekend.
Interesting. But on a positive note, where is it? It's gorgeous for George!
It's wonderful. I don't have a Mercedes hat.
The first ever driver from King's Lynn to win a Grand Prix. Sorry, Martin Brundle.
Sorry, Martin.
Oopsie.
Oh my god.
Yeah, George was absolutely incredible this whole weekend, from Saturday on, Sunday on. It was just, I loved seeing him so confident in that car, doing what we all know he could do.
This whole weekend was definitely his. Obviously, he had a shambolic qualifying, spinning out, crashing out, but he dominated that sprint race.
He went off-roading. That's
just a bit. He absolutely dominated the sprint race.
Yes.
And he absolutely dominated the Grand Prix itself. There is absolutely no doubt in anybody, there should be no doubt in anybody's mind that was George Russell's win. I don't know why there are people even trying to say that it shouldn't have been, it should have been Lewis's. Could Lewis have won if he didn't have the collision? Probably, and we probably would have had the two Mercedes fighting against each other, and it would have been fantastic to watch, because at the end of the day, both Lewis and George have an awful lot of respect for each other. Obviously, to George, like, Lewis is his absolute idol, and, you know, he's even said if that's something for his teammate, he'll do it. And Lewis has a lot of respect for George in, you know, how determined and dedicated he is for the team and for himself to do well, and how dedicated he is to assist Lewis in doing so well. And we would have got some really nice, clean racing between the two of them if Lewis didn't have the damage. But obviously, George's car was also broken this weekend. So
Yeah, I didn't even know that during the race.
no one
yeah.
knew. Not even
Yeah,
George knew that the car was broken
No.
during the race.
It's
Literally
crazy.
during the last couple of laps, I was like, if something happens, because you know when you like, as a George fan, we
Something
know the shit
always
that's been happening.
happens. Something
Yeah.
always happens.
So I've
Yeah.
sat there and I'm just stressing massively. Like,
Did you do the
and
George Russell
oh,
stance while you were watching it?
I know I sat down like this the whole time. I was like, I couldn't do it. I was sat there and I was like, I can't do this.
Mate, I was
Stressing.
sobbing
My friends were
I'm not
like,
hysterically.
gonna
it's
lie, the
fine.
last
Like,
lap I was like this.
Oh,
The
We
last
went-
lap I was
We
I was
went
crying.
into that last lap and I'd already started
just
sobbing.
crying.
And
Yeah.
I just went
Yeah,
into
yeah.
full hysterical tears the second I
Yeah.
heard. And George Russell
George Russell.
wins the Sao Paulo Grand Prix on a Sunday. Ah! And I hear Gorgeous for George and I'm like, no, sobbing even more.
My mum doesn't have like really a favourite driver. Like she doesn't really care less. Like she could care less about the drivers.
Oh,
But
shoot.
for some reason, George holds a soft spot in her heart. So when I went
Yeah.
down, I was like, "Mum, guess what?" And she went, "Pierre Gasly, did he do it?" And I was like, "Mum, no." I was like, "George did," and she was like, "My driver."
I just love
What my dad sent to me.
I just love the fact, bearing in mind it's George Russell's win. So obviously the second George Russell won, it was all over the local news the entirety of the next morning. Bearing in mind, like literally turn on the TV, first thing they speak about is George Russell. They speak about him 24/7 at that point.
Yeah.
It's all over like so the Lynn News, which is like my local newspaper, all over the Lynn News immediately. I go on Facebook,
Got multiple
everyone
copies.
on my Facebook, even people that do not care about F1 are talking about George Russell winning. My phone was blowing up. People are messaging me going, "Are you okay? Has anybody checked in on Alice right now? Is Alice doing okay? Are you okay? Is everything
Everyone's saying
alright?
that.
Are you
There's me
okay?"
sat on the call like, "Yeah, she's doing fine. She's just crying."
And I turn up to work. Every single person is like, I see George won the F1 race. I'm like, I know, don't remind me again. I start crying. Like I thought I was like so like Saturday was well, Saturday I went to George Russell Land itself, and I was like, I'm gonna wear my Mercedes top to George Russell Land. By George Russell Land, I mean Kingston. I went into Lynn, into like Lynn Town Centre to go shopping, and I was like, I'm gonna wear my Mercedes shirt as a good omen for this sprint race. And Celeste is texting me the most horrific updates I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm miserable as shit. I'm like, fuck, I don't really want to go home and turn this stupid race on. And then I'm going to have to turn the fucking F1 on and watch Max Verstappen win and feel miserable again. And I'm like, the foulest of mood anyone's ever seen me in. Such
Yeah,
a foul
she
mood.
was.
I'm starting drinking at this point because I'm like, I am in a foul mood. We'd like agreed to drink
gosh.
that night. I'm like, fuck it. That night ended horrifically, by the way.
We're
Yeah,
not talking about it.
And I didn't even start my bottle of wine I bought. And
No, I know you just fell asleep.
yeah, and I am just in the foulest of moods going into this sprint race, and I'm like, I just don't want to watch this. Personally, I don't want to watch it. I'm just fucking shit. And then this whole time, I'm just staring at my screen. I'm like, what's going on? Are we about to take? Is this ours? Is this ours? Is this ours? I don't want to believe it until he crosses the line, and I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna be a Mercedes 1-2 tomorrow, and I'm like hyperventilating at this point, and I'm like, wake up in the morning, so I start celebrating. Right, we're doing shots. Completely blackout by the end of the night. Right, celebrating. I wake up the next morning, and I'm like, two things are going through my head. Can't believe what I've texted people. Bit mortified. Second thing, I'm going to have to watch George Russell lose the Brazilian Grand Prix today. And Brazil holds such a special part.
Because the stat, yeah. And the stat.
Yeah, well, no, because Kevin Magnussen was on pole, so the probability doesn't
Yeah,
count.
but it's still starting from pole.
So, because Brazil holds such a special place in my heart, this one and this one. Lewis won his first championship there. Jensen won his championship there. I was like, I do not want Brazil to leave a bad taste in my mouth, especially after last year's race 2021. Like, that was just such a special moment for me and myself in like F1. And it's like a very it's like a very prominent memory in my brain is Brazil last year. And I'm like, and that's all about to be ruined for me because I'm going to watch George lose Brazil to Max. And like, that's not me saying I don't like Max, because I do like Max. Obviously this weekend has left a slight sour patch, but I do like Max. But watching your driver lose, like, I was also in this weird state of mind as well. Like, I do not want Lewis to lose his streak. And before the race this weekend, I was very much in my head that he has to do it this race or he's not going to do it in Abu Dhabi. My mind has changed since then. And I'm like going into it and I'm like, I'm going to watch George lose his first ever win. I'm going to watch Lewis lose his streak. And I'm going to have to watch a driver who I like, but like after last year, don't really want to see him beat my boys kind of thing. And I was like, I'm on call to Celeste. We're playing St. Paul 2 at this time. And I'm like, I'm going to stream it. And she's like, yeah, you should. And I was like, well, it's the only race I'm going to be able to stream this season. I'm at work for the race this weekend. And I'm like, I'm going to stream, you know, a watch along, because if for some obscene reason George or Lewis wins, it's going to be so iconic to just have that memory, like, forever kind of thing in video form. And I was like, and if we lose it to Max, then at least the people watching will have a fun time watching me sob about it.
Yeah.
And the whole time you can just see me just staring at my screen like I can't comprehend what's going on. I'm screaming, I'm yelling at this bloody my computer about it. And you know, I'll insert the clip here of when George Russell went across the line. You can hear Katie complaining in the background about Max Verstappen.
As you can tell, I don't like him. I don't like him.
But it's just like one of them moments that I'm like, thank you, Brazil. And also, I left that race after watching the performance of Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull, and was like, we actually have a chance this upcoming weekend to maybe win again.
Yes.
Like, the upgrades we have brought to that car over the past few races is just evident that we do still have a chance. And Lewis Hamilton might have his, you know, keep his streak by getting his redemption in Abu Dhabi. And I don't want to think about it because I'll get emotional thinking about it. If that's where he gets that redemption kind of thing, goes to Abu Dhabi and wins it, seals 16 years on his streak, and gets redemption.
I say the podium that I want in Abu Dhabi.
Oh God.
Lewis win. Daniel or Seb P2 or P3 because Daniel and Seb P2 and P3 because if that, and I'm just Abu Dhabi, I can't even think about it. I'm not gonna lie. I know Celeste can't either. We're all just. I think because like especially like those two are such
influential moment, like
big
parts
people in our like lives as well.
Yeah.
And like also, you know, we don't know what's happened with Mick yet either. And you know, Nikki is just that big of a person in our but genuinely with
No, I think the funniest thing. Sorry, Farah.
Yeah.
No, I was going off on a tangent. Don't worry.
Go on your tangent. I want to hear the tangent.
Tangent.
Alice sitting there and going, my favourite driver. I was going to watch him lose a race, and then there's me and Celeste just sat on the side like war flashbacks of me with Russia 2021 and Celeste with every Ferrari race ever.
Sorry, talking about that.
We had our secure.
Yeah, we don't talk about it. But one thing that we do have to note though is that George Russell is the first of the 2019 rookies to get a race win.
Yes,
and he joined in a Williams.
Literally.
I love that man.
I love George Russell.
It's just
so
brilliant.
much.
I think genuinely like
he's gone from here to a team up here. What do you call it? Alex has gone from a team here to a team up here to a team down there. And then there's Lando Norris that's just stayed the same and probably will do
I
for the
think
rest
like
of his career.
with George it's just like he mentioned it in one of his post-race interviews. It's like the waiting that a man has been doing. And it's why like Hungary was such a big deal as well. Like getting those
sobbing
first
in London
points.
Ypres grandstands over it.
Yeah, well that and then I mentioned the
points.
For his first points. But like us like just dying at London because like George you know, he deserves it so much, and he's been waiting patiently. I wrote a little thing about it, about George getting and Williams getting their first points, and it's just like about the waiting that has to happen during this kind of thing for them.
Yeah.
And Williams, they did their waiting. George did his waiting, and he wasn't even meant to be in the Williams for that long. Like, we kind of forget about that, is that it was not supposed to be that long, and it's just.
I keep on getting flashbacks to Formula E.
But I just think it's
and
like
just that race, and then the fact that Edo Watara won the race, so Celeste had to listen to the Monegasque anthem.
Oh, no, that was not funny. That was, I
The
think,
videos of you listening to that
in my life.
brilliant.
But I do think
So
it's
bad.
I do think it's important to kind of note George Russell's career and how he got it, because obviously people are saying that, like, you know,
Yeah.
like people make jokes about it. They're like, you know, with the photo of him waiting for like Lewis, him waiting for Lewis, and now here he is, and you know. But like, I think people forget how hard he worked for that, and I genuinely think he has worked harder than a lot of the drivers on that grid.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind, at the age of 15, he took a laptop with his PowerPoint on into Toto Wolff.
Iconic.
Toto Wolff, an iconic member of this sport, George Russell went into his office and said, "This is every reason why I should be an F1 driver for Mercedes." And the fact that he did all of that and Toto went, "Yeah, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to do it," helped him all the way through his feeder series, put him into the Mercedes junior team the second he could, put him into the Williams the second he was able to. You know, George won F2 and he went, right, into the Williams seat you go. And the fact that as well, Toto Wolff respected the fact that he did not want to let Valtteri Bottas go until Valtteri Bottas had another seat. And he said to George, "You just have to wait." And George said, "I will wait for as long as I need to wait. I will wait." And he just waited and waited, and Toto was like, "Yeah, look, I've got Bottas a seat. The seat's yours now." And he steps in, and the team is nowhere near where it was previous years. You know, he comes in when it's at its
and I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah. And he's helped rebuild it, and he's taken his first win with the team. And a 15-year-old George is probably, you know, like, if he was speaking to 15-year-old George just before he went into his interview and said, "We've made it," George would be like, "What the fuck?"
What?
Yeah. I have a feeling that Mercedes gave up with their 2022 season and just went, fuck it, we'll just channel everything now into the 2022 car. And I think they've started bringing the changes for like these last two races just to see if it works in like a racing environment.
See, they had, how Mercedes approach it is at the beginning of the season, they did it the same with last year, is that they go, right, at this race, and this race, we are bringing this upgrade. Because then when they apply the upgrade, they then see how well the upgrade's working, and if this next upgrade is going to benefit that upgrade, or if it's going to deteriorate it, and maybe what they could change there in that upgrade. They did it last year, and they did it this year, which is why all of a sudden at the end of the season you see them do so well, and it's because of how they've stationed out their upgrades. Sorry for this, Celeste. But in comparison to obviously how Ferrari have done it, is that they kind of brought loads of updates without spacing them out correctly. Obviously then have proceeded to have issues this season with reliability, struggled to be able to bring further updates to improve the updates they've already done because they didn't allow the time, and are now at the end of the season when they've been able to finally do their final updates to catch up a bit, and are now playing the field up there with Mercedes while Red Bull have dropped back. It's just, you know, like Mercedes said that they know what updates they're doing, and they're not going to focus on those updates now. They're going to focus on next year. They're just going to apply them updates. And, you know, it's clearly worked in their favour in that sense. But they are very smart in how they bring updates to the car. And, you know, I'm impressed. We started the season starting in, like, fucking 8th and 10th, and now we've got a 1-2. And it's the first British 1-2 since Jensen and Lewis in 2010, which is crazy.
Yeah. Another thing that like made me super emotional was obviously like Toto wasn't there.
It's the fact that George's first thing is FaceTime Toto.
George went FaceTime on Toto. But like the fact he wasn't there makes me like, how? Like, from all of the processes of everything that's happened in George's career, every step, and Toto isn't there.
Yeah.
And Sky spoke to Toto on interview in an interview straight after on like video call, and he's there with Shelv and everything. But one person he mentioned, and I was a mess. I mean, I was a mess already, but I sobbed even more when he mentioned this. Was Nikki, and Nikki was always someone who said to go all in on George and supported him, and like Toto said he'd never really watch F2 races anymore, and he'd never go to them especially. But when it was George, he always would. And I just like that kind of support that George had every step of the way. Mercedes were behind him always, and they know he made his mistakes. You know, they saw Imola both times, and every time that they'd say, you know, we're behind him, and Sakia happened, and it was. I don't even know what I could say about Sakia, because that was such heartache for him and the entire team that
And me.
it just felt like does. It felt like almost felt like George was doomed. And that may sound extra, but that's how I felt. Like I felt like, you know, it's never gonna happen. He's gonna be one of those drivers. He's gonna be like the next Nico Hulkenberg that never gets that win. He'll never get that just on luck. And to see this happen in Sao Paulo of all places that has such a love for Mercedes. I know it's mostly Lewis, but the love they have for Mercedes is massive.
Yeah.
And it's such a big deal because he did his waiting, and there are many people looking down on George right now, just being very, very happy for him because he's been supported by so many people, including Nikki, including Frank, and the whole of the Williams family, and it's crazy that it's happened now. And I think Mercedes George can only go up from here.
Yeah, I think it's special to note as well that he was never gifted any of that. He doesn't come from the best of places. He's, you know, he's rich in the eyes of, like, people from around here be like, yeah, he's fucking rich. But, like, in comparison to a lot of drivers in the grid as well, he's not rich. Like, he's not rich to the extent that some of them were going into it. People always say that, oh yeah, he's the rich British boy. Look at Lando Norris. His wealth is in a completely different league to George Russell's ever was for a start. Like, it wasn't money that brought him into this completely. Money helped. Him being from some sort of wealth obviously helped, and it's helped 18 of the drivers on that grid. The only two drivers that have never come from any wealth, Lewis Hamilton and Esteban Ocon, you know, they're the people that kind of, you know, pure determination. But it is pure dedication, determination from George that got him to the place that he is now. And obviously his racecraft and race ability, it's proven in his feeder series, and especially proven this weekend how incredible of a driver he is. And if he wasn't such an incredible driver and wasn't as literally determined as he is, he would never have had the backing from any of these people, because you have to display that kind of energy almost, that like if you believe it, they will believe it. And if you believe that you are determined and dedicated and strong enough to be a part of what at the time was the best team on that grid, you know, the people are going to believe you as well and follow through with you. And it's just, I don't know, it's pretty to see. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous to see.
It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous for George. Let's roll in to work. The glasses are on to cover my tears, by the way, because I've just had a really happy moment and now I've got to talk about depression.
Can I just? Oh no, I'll focus on the good things.
No, I'm sorry, but work was a fucking good thing. You can all be crying, but I'm gonna be fucking happy about this. Yeah, WEC, 8 hours of Bahrain, last race of the season. We had all championships to play for. Sadly, to be fair, only one championship really came down to this like last few hours, because the Peugeot's having problems with both of them cars. Toyota.
Funny.
What? Yeah,
The Peugeot.
yeah, I don't know what was happening to Peugeot. Both of their cars just stopped multiple times on track, which gave me a fucking heart attack because I couldn't use the safety car. But yeah, Toyota took that win easily, fair and square. They have been dominating WEC since forever, so didn't expect much else. Now for LMP2, I haven't been paying much attention to LMP2. I don't know if you have. I saw Prema doing absolutely insane from where they're coming from. It was unreal to see that car go through the field that quick.
WRT.
Yeah, no, WRT had a good race. They obviously
Jota.
And Jota. And Jota won the
Jota.
championships, which is
Jota won the
really cool.
championship.
Alex and the 23, they did an amazing job. The United,
Yeah.
they did so good.
Yeah, I feel LMP2 was pretty calm, I think, for WEC standards.
For once,
yeah. But then we go into the GTs, and Ferrari won the championship, but it wasn't as straightforward as we hoped it was going to be. So the first few hours were absolutely incredible. I think Porsche and Ferrari were constantly fighting, they were constantly overtaking each other, and I think it was just brilliant to see. But after the 2 hour mark, I don't know what happened to Porsche, but they just didn't seem to have any pace. And then the 51 got a lucky stop with a safety car, or full course yellow it was, where they basically got a free stop, so the 51 had a big lead over all the cars. And somehow Porsche dropped back behind the Corvette, which is something we haven't seen all season long. But yeah, we were leading pretty comfortably. I was pretty comfortable. And then it came down to the last 1 hour and 40 minutes. And James Calado came on the radio and said, the car sounds funny. And that's where they discovered that they lost fourth gear. Like the whole fourth gear was just gone and they couldn't use it anymore. They had to shift from third gear to fifth gear and everything seemed to be lost. Because how the fuck are you gonna drive 1 hour and 40 minutes without fourth gear without losing a fucking championship? But luckily, because Porsche was doing so horrible and the Corvette was still in between the Porsches, and because James Calado and Parc'd, for some insane reason, kept that car going for the last few hours without fourth gear.
I don't know how they did that.
I don't know how they did that.
Actually, no clue.
Yeah, Ferrari still won their back-to-back World Championship in WEC. It's their third overall, and I think for Ferrari it's amazing to end that journey for them, because obviously GT Pro is gonna stop at WEC, coming in with the hypercars. So yeah, I don't know what happened to Porsche, to be honest. They seemed really strong in qualifying. They were so close to Ferrari, so I think it's sad to see that they didn't have the pace, because the first few hours were absolutely incredible. But Ferrari would have never had got it if Porsche wasn't that far back. So at the end of the day, I'm happy Ferrari could take that championship. I think they deserve it. They had an absolutely incredibly difficult year with BOP, with everything that was thrown at them. So yeah, I was really happy for Ferrari. You want to add anything, Alice, to this?
I actually checked myself back into therapy after work. But you know, new season on the horizon. We will be hopefully be at 3 of the WEC races. Hopefully, fingers crossed. 1 for definite. One's 99.99999%. The other one is potential.
Yes.
I need some information on this then, because
I'm going to be screaming for Porsche the whole weekend. Hypercars is ours.
Sure. That's what you said this weekend.
Okay. And I saw a Porsche while I was out. I was in Lynn. I texted Celeste saying, I've just seen a Porsche. And she went...
It's a sign.
And then I said, it's a sign. And then...
You guys were under investigation for...
Oh, yeah. And then the penalty went. So I just spent the whole day going, I need to see another Porsche. I need to see another Porsche. Yeah. I need a sign. I need a sign. Yeah. The hypercars are ours.
Sure.
Information for Naomi, by the way. One of the WEC races, all of us are 100% going to anyway. That's me acknowledging the fact that 24 Hours of Le Mans is a WEC race. You heard it here first, guys.
Ready.
Thank you.
We're
Right.
doing me and Celeste 99.999%. The reason it's 99, I need to book off work still. And we just need to book it. Is we're going to Spa. And we might be potentially going to Portugal, but we've got to see on prices.
Yeah.
I love that place.
I hate Portugal. I'm cutting that out though because I don't want the Portuguese to hate me. I said that last weekend. I need to stop saying I hate Portugal. Is that all of
The track is
depression
lovely.
covered?
That is all of my happiness for Ferrari being world championships.
Fucking hell, we'll never
Sorry,
hear that in F1.
Yeah, and that's why I'm so happy with. WEC Ferrari is just my dream. We have good strategy. We have world-winning championship. That wasn't English, but we have cars that can win world champions, and I'm just happy.
Do you want to know why that was my depression? Because, so, obviously I support multiple teams, multiple sports. Mercedes F1 team, not winning the championship. We can't. Mercedes EQ won the championship. Huzzah! And then left the fucking sport. So that was like a, huzzah! Get fucked, you think you're being happy today, bitch. And then Fabio Quartararo lost the championship.
Oops.
Chelsea.
Chelsea. Lost the cup.
I can't fucking speak on Chelsea at this point.
No,
the whole year has been shambolic. Can't speak on it. Don't want to speak on it. Would probably throw myself off a cliff. And then I was like, Porsche, you are my last leg. You are my literal last leg for me to have one good championship. Because the one championship I got this year was backhanded at me because they left. And they fucked it.
Yeah.
So that is, out of like 6 teams that I support, one of them won something this year. One of them. And it was a backhanded win because it was joined with, yeah, we won our final ever race in Formula E. Thank you. Thank you for that, by the way. However, tonight in the mood, would you like to do some Guess Who?
Go for it.
Hang on.
Right, guys.
Temptation. Wait, as well.
Go TV.
We remain paused. Temptation to just.
Go TV.
Okay, guys, we've got a Guess Who.
I'm ready. Guess Who.
I don't know how easy this Guess Who is, but personally, I would not be able to get any of these right. But obviously, I don't know about you guys. So, Celeste's favourite fact, fact number 1, this driver started karting at the age of 9 years old.
I have no clue.
So, relatively old, question mark?
Yeah, that's yeah.
Not as old as Nicholas Latifi. He was a fucking grandpa by the time he started doing karting.
Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah, I was going
That's
to say
off the
Danny
whole
Rick.
weekend. Well, that's just a guess.
I'm just gonna say George. Just because he's my boy.
Fact number 2.
I don't know any karting stats.
Fact number 2. This driver has won the British F3 Championship.
British.
God. British F3.
I'll
George
remain
Russell.
George. Why not?
Jorge Russell.
Yeah, I might want to switch now.
Russell.
Russell.
Time to stir the pot. Fact number 3. This driver has never competed in F2.
That's not George Russell. God.
Oh, are they in F1?
You have to wait to find
There's
out.
no hints, is there?
Have we done Lulu before?
Who's competed in?
We haven't had Lulu as an answer. I don't know.
Well, Lewis. Yeah.
I don't know how old he was when
No,
he started karting.
Lewis started later. We have Lewis before.
Have we?
Yeah. He was the remote control guy.
Oh, fucking hell, yeah, that was last week.
I'm still going. I don't think.
That was literally last week.
I'm going back on Daniel Ricciardo because I know he hasn't done F2 for sure.
But did he do British F3?
Yeah.
I don't know, but he could.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Oh, he did.
What, British?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know.
British
Don't
F3
really.
is
I
technically.
think.
British F3 is now GB3, isn't it?
Yeah.
This driver.
Yeah, I'll go with Daniel.
This driver picked his number due to his NASCAR racing hero.
Oh, it is Daniel!
Yes, Daniel. That is Daniel. That is Daniel.
The next was this driver has raced with 5 F1 teams, and this driver will bid farewell at the end of the season after 10 years in the sport.
He's
Daniel.
a 4 for F1 team.
Huh?
Tell
He's
that
a
to
4
Carlos
for F1 team.
Sainz.
Yeah, so that's
They
Carlos
both are.
Sainz. Yeah, but Carlos
They
Sainz has been there much less.
Yeah. I feel like Daniel at least is dedicated to his
That's
team.
5 years, you know, that's like average at
Some of
2
them.
teams
Some
a
of
year.
them.
Wait, can I get my other depression kit now? Hold on.
You can get your depression kit.
Nice. Beautiful.
Gorgeous. Well, I just thought it wouldn't be fair to leave Daniel Ricciardo out of a Guess Who, seeing as this weekend is his final race weekend. We've had Sebastian Vettel.
Yes.
Did we do Go Tiffy? No, we didn't. Katie
Oh,
thought
we
we had Go
didn't.
Tiffy
Well,
when it was
Katie
Pierre
did.
Gasly.
Katie did go TV. We didn't.
Yeah. So this weekend we are going to Abu Dhabi. The final race weekend for all racing series until January. So it's gonna be a sad weekend anyway for motorsport. Unless you're football fans and it's World Cup season, baby. World Cup.
More depression. More depression.
We literally don't get a break. If you're a motorsport and a football fan, we don't get a break. We have World Cup, and then we have Christmas week, and we then come back with Christmas football. And Christmas football leads us all the way up to the beginning of the Formula E season in January. But this weekend, obviously, we bid farewell to motorsport, obviously, until then. And we also bid farewell to Nicholas Latifi, Daniel Ricciardo, and Sebastian Vettel.
And maybe Mick.
And maybe Mick Schumacher. We don't want to jinx that.
And
no, but it's practically already
maybe Matteo Binotto.
Yes.
Oops. Excited.
Well, Ferrari would like to explicitly deny that, but they also explicitly denied that Seb was leaving Ferrari. So
yeah, no, it was a mutual agreement between.
It was a mutual agreement. Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
It's going to be a sad weekend for sure. It's always sad at the last race of the season, apart from last year's.
I can't believe
after the end of last season, I was quite glad to never see F1 ever again in my entire life. As soon as the car went across the road, I turned it off and I went to Silverstone.
Yeah.
It was not fun to be at Silverstone that day.
I'm always sort of looking forward to Abu Dhabi because at the end, especially with so many races that we have now, I'm sort of done with it and I'm like, okay, you know, it's fair enough. Let's just have a break for a few months. But now, since Sao Paulo, the flag fell, like the Finnish flag, I was like, I couldn't breathe, like I was fuck.
I think it's because of how shambolic of a final race Abu Dhabi is.
Yeah, also, yeah.
Because like I'm going into it and I'm like, okay, it's gonna be a really boring race. I have to see one of my favourite drivers of all time leave. I have to watch Daniel Ricciardo leave, who is an iconic part of the sport. You know, no one else really to say goodbye to.
I am going to be inconsolable. Let's just say that.
I'm going to be at work for the race, and I'm planning my lunch break around so that I can watch the race on my lunch, and then hopefully do some of my work, like, out the back so I can watch the rest of it.
Well, the World Cup starts, like, right after the race. The World Cup starts right after the race.
Yeah, but that is the most...
You gotta watch the first round. You've gotta watch the first.
I can't, I'm at work!
Well, yeah, but you would. If you weren't working.
I would not, because
you should.
I love the World Cup, don't get me wrong. This is turning from motorsport to football right now, but I love the World Cup, don't get me wrong. I do not stand with the World Cup this year, though.
Oh, no, obviously.
So I am not too fussed if I miss certain matches, because...
As due to my studies, I kind of got to. Sports journalism. But yeah, I will be embarrassing myself in front of my whole course by sobbing my eyes out, but you know what? I don't care. Because I will be a mess.
Yeah.
I'm already a mess.
Yeah, I keep getting emotional.
I can't I can't think about my TikTok is really not helping.
No,
Same.
same. It's not.
And it's just not nice. I'm just
Oh, have you seen the edited intro to Sky, the F1 intro for Seb? But like I've seen
I'm
a
gonna
few,
start
but
crying now.
this one's the most insane one. I'll send it to you afterwards.
I
But
do
yeah,
not know what to
it's
say.
And
one of the most insane ones I've seen.
I am also really hoping that the rumours are true that Charles Leclerc is bringing a Sebastian Vettel dedicated lid to Abu Dhabi.
Hang on.
Yeah,
Because
I wouldn't be
I will
surprised. He did it when he left Ferrari, so
Yeah,
Hang on.
and I think
Hang on.
Sebastian Vettel has been such an influential part of Charles Leclerc's career
yeah.
that
Yeah.
he needs to bid farewell. And I would like to see, although it's not going to happen, but I would like to see Max Verstappen do a dedicated lid to Daniel Ricciardo. I don't think it will happen, but I would love to see that because not
I would
only
love it.
were they teammates, but they're such good friends. And Max
Yeah.
is losing a friend on that grid this year.
Definitely.
Among the many that
Because-
he's already lost. Sorry.
I think it's just difficult because like especially like those two together, like they had such an iconic time at Red Bull together. And I mean the way that Seb has been like Daniel has been talking about like Seb and saying that Seb's been really helpful to him in like the way his career's been like ending and like Sebastian has always
Seb
been
dropped
like
off
a
there like
phone
he
call
dropped out of
away.
his career. Sorry.
Les didn't hear the comment properly. I don't think.
Yeah, no, I
like, he's
did.
not
I just
reacting.
when she said we're going into Abu Dhabi, I've just blocked everything. Like my emotions are turned off because I'm not really able to handle
I
all
just
this.
like the way that like Daniel has been saying that Seb has like really been there for him the last couple of like weeks and months, like just a phone call and really helping him. Them two ending it together is like poetic almost. And of course Dan like wants to come back in 24. Who knows whether that'll end up happening.
Yeah.
But
I don't think this is goodbye forever with either of them two. I think it's just goodbye for now. Because
It's not
I just want to end this here. I'm gonna cry my eyes out.
well, Seb has come forward, and when he was asked, "Will you join Formula One again?" and he said, "Right now, I'd say no, but ask me again in a year, and it'll probably be different."
Yeah, but I
Yeah.
think the moment Seb like gets his time with his family
Seb's
and
not.
see
Yeah, Seb's
how
not.
much time he now has with his kids and everything, I think
He'd be like, "Yeah, I'm coming straight back."
Yeah.
His
I
buddy
don't think
children.
Seb will-
He's like, what, being a dad? What do you mean?
Yeah, I don't think Seb will continue like at all. I think he'll maybe visit a couple of races in Europe.
Yeah.
Do the race of champions because that's Seb's thing.
Yes.
Um,
He's confirmed
and
for that. So.
Seb to work.
maybe
Seb to work.
Seb to work.
hypercar Seb.
There's been a lot of rumors because he's obviously for people. Who
What would you
follow
do
him
if
on
he joined
Instagram-
Porsche?
No, he wouldn't because he posted a lot of things on his Instagram and a lot of things were BMW related. So a lot of people were like, "Oh, maybe he's going into WEC."
Going
I
back
myself-
to BMW.
If we see that man in 24 hours,
I don't know. I don't want to
to.
believe it until I see it. So.
Wait, could you imagine we're just walking down the paddock in Spa, Celeste, and just Sebastian Vettel appears?
Oh, that would be nice.
Seb would just fall to the floor. Not Seb. Seb. Celeste would just fall to the
Yeah.
floor. And I'm like, Celeste.
Seb would
Celeste.
be Seb would
wake
be
up.
starstruck.
Celeste, wake up.
No, Seb would be starstruck.
And
to be honest.
I would just have
Probably
to
recognise me, to
apologise.
be fair.
I'd have to be like, sorry, Seb. She's a big fan. Get up, Celeste. You're embarrassing me.
But
I'd like to see him at the 24
Yeah,
hours
and
Le
then-
Mans.
Dan on the other hand is like he obviously wants to come back in 24. I just
Yeah.
I doubt it's gonna happen.
I don't want to say it, but I do feel like he has lost his sparkle.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's because
Yeah,
he's also
I-
lost part of the enjoyment by he went from a team that is winning all the time to a team that weren't doing great but helped build and then got to the point where he was able to fight again and then left again to a team where he has just been absolutely shafted by his team the entire time. I think he's just completely lost his sparkle. It's not the same Daniel like I was saying earlier, that yesterday we were watching the 2017-2018 season. I did once say now I remember why I didn't like Daniel Ricciardo. But second of all, you watch how he raced then and you watch how he races now, and you can tell there is something missing, and it's not just the car.
Yeah, but I think it's difficult for him because he's leaving, but I do think you can get that back, because I have a bit of the same with Seb, because I think with Ferrari he lost that sparkle as well. He made a lot of mistakes going into 2019, but also at Aston the first few races weren't his best performance, but now you see him at Aston Martin, like Suzuka, Singapore.
It was me and Katie screaming at the weekend, "Stop the count!" because it was George Lewis Seb. It was like the fact that Seb in the Aston Martin was actually at the top for a portion of it.
Yeah.
No, but he's been doing so much better, which is sad because he's not leaving. But anyways, I do think Daniel is a driver who can get that back. I just don't think with a gap year, I don't see it, as sad as it is, but I don't see it working for him.
I would like to see him in a reserve driver role, but not predominantly in a reserve driver role. So you know how we were talking about how Felipe Drugovich, obviously he's Aston Martin's reserve driver.
Yeah.
And we were saying, I hope he actually does something else apart from that. So how Stoffel and Nick have been Mercedes reserve drivers for the past couple of years, and they raced with Mercedes in Formula E. They were doing the two things at once. I think, like we were saying that Felipe should be doing something like that. I think Daniel should also do something like that.
Absolutely.
It won't be, I doubt it'd be Formula E, because the only seat left in Formula E is with McLaren. I think him leaving McLaren, that's probably left quite a sour taste in his mouth. The way he's left is not acceptable from any team to be letting a driver go in the slightest. But I could see him in something like, I couldn't see him in IndyCar, but that's because him himself has said that he wouldn't really see himself in IndyCar. I could see him in something like endurance racing, or that, something like that.
I think he would be great in NASCAR. I think he would love NASCAR.
I think he'll definitely give it a go.
Yeah,
because you've got Kimi that's done a couple of rounds there. Daniel's done a couple of rounds there. I think he definitely will give it a couple of goes, because I think he's
got the personality in this car as well.
Yeah, and I think he's going to share a lot of his. I think he'll share a lot of his time between the UK, Australia, and America.
Yeah,
because that's kind of his grounds anyway. Or Monaco, obviously, but I think he deserves to go back home for a bit, to be honest, after all the shit that has gone on. Obviously, I genuinely, and I will stand by this, I think COVID has such a massive effect on his career, and him not being able to, him coming back and then not being able to see his family since coming back from lockdown. I think that genuinely had an effect on his career. And I stand by that. And
I could see him with Felipe. I would like to see Felipe in a secure seat, in the sense that because he's such a young driver with not a lot of experience, he's mainly feeder series based. To see him in a permanent seat like Formula E or WEC or the European Le Mans, or I doubt it'd be Indy with how close his reserve driving thing is. Seeing him in a secure seat like that, is something he needs. But I think with Daniel, I think he could literally dabble in a couple of things. He could be like, right, well, I'm going to step in with this team at WEC for the 24 Hours of Le Mans. I'm going to go do a couple races in Indy. I'm going to do a couple races in NASCAR. I'm going to do this. And I think it'd be good for him to kind of play the field almost and experience it as a gap year almost, rather than because he wants to go back to F1, and I think once you fully dedicate yourself into another seat, it's difficult to part your ways. Say with Callum Wyler, for example, obviously his dream was always F1. He couldn't get the F1 seat while he was a reserve driver. He then obviously went into IndyCar and stuck it out with a team, and is now kind of because he's kind of got that permanent seat and he's staying in that permanent position, and time over, it's almost like F1 has kind of forgotten about him. When he's no longer the Ferrari test driver anymore, kind of thing, and it's almost as if that's gone now. And I think if Daniel was to sit himself into a permanent seat, that would completely go. Different with Aston Martin and Felipe Drugovich, because of how determined Aston Martin are with Felipe Drugovich, that if he sat in a permanent seat the second, like if Aston Martin still want him and they'll take him, like the second they dip Fernando Alonso in probably a couple of years when Fernando Alonso retires, they'll be like, right, in now, Felipe, in seat, go, kind of thing. But it wouldn't be the same situation for Daniel, whether he was with, because obviously the rumours are that he's either going to be with Red Bull or Mercedes as the reserve driver. And Red Bull are only going to have a seat if Max Verstappen cries about Checo, and Mercedes are only going to have a seat when Lewis Hamilton retires, but Lewis Hamilton has absolutely no intention of doing that for another 5 years minimum.
And I think either way, if they did get rid of their drivers, Dan wouldn't be in the running to replace, because Mercedes are trying to get in their new era of drivers, whether that the next driver will be, Fred Vesti or your Paul Aron or that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Red Bull will probably go out of their pool. I think they'll maybe go for Lando or something.
They've already been trying for Lando for years, and Lando just keeps declining them.
Every single time that Lando has had a conversation with Helmut Marko, he's signed a new deal with McLaren.
But
every single time.
I think that is the most sensible decision mentally for Lando, not career-wise, because if he was in the Red Bull career-wise, I don't think people would doubt him as a driver as much, because he would be in a contention to be able to fight. Mentally, though, I think it's better for him to stay out of Red Bull.
He doesn't have the mental health for Red Bull.
He's spoken quite openly about mental health and how mental health problems affect him. And he knows that at McLaren, he's the first driver. He knows if he went to Red Bull, he would be a second driver, but he also knows that his best friend is in the seat next to him, and he has watched what that's done to Max and Daniel, Max and Alex, Max and Pierre, and now Max and Checo. Do you really want to put yourself into a position to lose your best friend over a sport? Because Max and Lando aren't just like best friends because they were teammates or best friends. They are to the core like best friends like we are, and putting himself as like, we saw what happened with Lewis and Nico. They were best friends to the core, and then they were teammates, and now look at them, kind of thing. And I think Lando was very, very smart to decline Red Bull's offer to, one, protect not only his mental health but protect his friendships and protect kind of the things that actually make him happy. Because he knows he's always secure with McLaren. McLaren love him to pieces, and he'll always have a place there. And there will always be a team.
A new team around him.
Yeah, there will always be a team, a higher up team, that are willing to give him an opportunity.
Yeah.
And when the time's right for him, he'll probably take it. Or you never know, McLaren might finally get their shit together and be in a position where Lando could get a championship.
Imagine.
But he's very dedicated to that team, and I think that proves a lot. That he's been there since 2019. He's been with the same team the entire time, no matter what, the highs, the lows, and everything. It's cute. It's cute. It's cute. He's so cute. Anyone got anything else to say before I close this out?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Well,
do you want to?
Do you have anything else to say, Naomi, before I close this out?
No, nothing important.
Okay, thank you guys for stopping by, joining us for episode 10. That's crazy, because when I first delivered this idea to these guys, and I was like, hey, and it was literally Formula E weekend. I'd had everything planned. I'd gotten I had the name, I had the color scheme, I had the theme of everything, kind of the ideas, and I implemented it to them. Beginning of August, we spent a month grinding it out, figuring out exactly what we wanted to do and everything. Launched at the beginning of September. We're now partway through into November on episode 10 of our little podcast, and we're growing comfortably. We're enjoying ourselves, and I don't know, it just feels like really monumental to be here. And we're gonna look back at this on like episode 100 and be like, sappy gits.
We're so crap.
We're so cringe, getting emotional over episode 10. But it's just a sweet one, isn't it? It's just I don't know, it's like a little milestone.
It is.
Like, welcome to episode 10. Just a little incident. But thank you guys. Thank you guys for stopping by, joining us, chatting with us, chilling with us, whatever. Let us know how you're doing the quiz and in the Guess Who down below. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure you give it a like. If you are listening even on Spotify, Google, or Apple, make sure you give it a 5-star rating because we deserve it. And it lets us know that you're enjoying it. And yeah, thank you guys for stopping by.
So humble.
Love to you all. And it's gorgeous for George Russell. You are a race winner in Formula 1.
And thank you, Seb. And thank you, Daniel.
And thank you, Nicholas
and
Latifi.
I think
find
I've lost
any
it. I
anywhere.
don't know how. I have exactly the same quote as that.
Bye, Latifi. We'll miss you.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.